Welcome back to the Talking Hedge. I'm Josh Kincaid, Capital Markets Analyst and host of your Cannabis Business Podcast. Today we've got Dan Humison. He's the host of MJ Bulls. Dan, thanks for being on the podcast.
Josh, thanks for having me.
All right, top 10 marijuana news stories of the week according to Benzinga. Ripping through this with number 10, stocks to buy that could thrive in the new Corona-induced work-from-home economy. There's some stocks that they say are going to go up. I think nonetheless, we're not going to get into the weeds here and pick these top 10 stocks, but I think they pick like Zoom and Microsoft work at home. Obviously things that you can use, not necessarily cannabis related, but things that people are using. Everything's going to be changing now that we're working from home.
Sure. And people are going to probably need something to do from a recreational standpoint and cannabis would work fine for that.
Yeah. We did briefly mention in another podcast that this is a hedge against the overall market. So as the market goes down, there's an inverse relationship with stocks. So if you haven't already listened, maybe check out Hedging Your Bets with Sin Stocks, as cannabis stocks might do a lot better and outperform any other sector. But moving on to number 9, it looks like Champion Brands is going to expand their psychedelic IP portfolio through novel formulations. So that's taken the CEO of Canopy Growth and trying to also incorporate psilocybins and MDMA. Seems pretty popular.
Well, yeah, like we saw Hawaii and Colorado and Oregon. There's in even California, there's been movement, if not already making it, decriminalizing it, making it legal. So there's a lot of energy shifting to this. So we'll keep our eyes on that one.
Yeah, that's assuming that their stock is going to be available to buy. So anything that's 5 digits ending in F is non-DTC eligible. So the Department Trust and Clearing Corp will charge an extra $75 to buy and sell if a stock is not DTC eligible. In other words, able to trade online. So check with your brokerage firm to make sure that you're not paying excessive fees. They should be DTC eligible, but it's hard to tell. But any symbol that's 5 digits ending in F is a red flag for excessive fees. So look into that one. But number 8, Canopy Growth to temporarily close corporate-owned retail amid response to COVID-19. So Canopy Growth and its team has made a decision to temporarily close all corporate-owned Tokyo Smoke and Tweed retail locations across Canada, effective March 17th. So this has been over a week. And so I understand Tokyo Smoke. I mean, some of the coffee shops here locally, we're in Seattle, so coffee's a thing, and you just pre-order and they literally walk out and hand it to you. So I'm kind of surprised they didn't do that with Tokyo Smoke, even though they don't have drive-throughs. Tweed could have done something very similar that we spoke about offline, where you could pre-order and then people are walking outside, curbside cannabis, which is crazy. But yet they just decided we're not doing any of that. We're going to close. I find that counterintuitive or counter to what everyone else is trying to do, utilizing that essential business designation that they're getting.
Yeah, I don't. That is a really strange move, unless it was prompted by concerns for their employees. That could have been what led them to that, because, like you said, there seems like there are other ways around this, around the gathering, or people, like you said, there are other ways that you could probably provide people with product without putting anybody at risk. But
I'm so jaded, Dan. I wish I had, your mentality where you immediately think it must be about the employees, because the first thing I thought about was their cash burn was too high and they couldn't afford to keep these businesses open without generating more revenue.
Yeah, I think
we'll leave it at that. We'll move on to number 7. Cronos Group faces SEC inquiry over revenue recognition practices. So the SEC inquiry related to the bulk resident wholesale sales, according to documents reviewed by MarketWatch. So Cronos is involved with 4 other Canadian pot stocks. Apparently they're facing a Securities and Exchange Commission. That's a US-based financial regulator going to Canada, which is bizarre in and of itself. So I'm interested to see my nerdy accounting self is really wanting to know the details on this one.
Yeah, I think the concern I would have is that what's the underlying reason for this? I mean, on the surface, we know why they're what they're saying, but what prompted this? What's driving this? Something has to be pushing this, and like you said, my conspiracy theory antenna went up on this one, and it's so. It seems like there might be more to this than they're letting on. Hopefully not.
We'll leave it with that. Time will tell.
Mm-hmm.
So number 6, I swear, like Terry Booth, this guy is great at PR. So if he can generate as much money as he does headline attention, I think 4 out of 10 stories that we did on another podcast for Industry News Stories of the Week, he's dominating this one as well. So former Aurora CEO Terry Booth, he sells over 2/3 of his stake in the pot producer. So he's obviously looking at a market top. He wants to pull some money out for MindMed. That's his psilocybin-based company that he brought public. So Terry Booth, he sold more than 2/3 of his stake in the cannabis producer at I don't know if it was the height of the market, but that's to help fund future business opportunities. Not necessarily an indicator of any inside information. I think he just, at this point, willing to pull some money out and put it to a different company that maybe has a higher percentage. I mean, in the initial cannabis companies, we were seeing thousands of a percent increase as you're a penny stock moving to become a legitimate company. Maybe that's what he's kind of hoping to do is get this thing off the ground.
Well, and you know this will have an impact on Aurora's stock, and it's whether it's fair or not, this will it will. It's not good for Aurora stock for that to happen, I don't think.
Yeah, they're not doing so well. Down negative 3.66. They're trading at 70 cents. I think they were like almost $13. They've lost over 95% of their value, so not good. But at that low price with the volatility, I think traders are going to have a heyday buying and selling that thing for the next several weeks. So moving on from Terry Booth to Canopy, number 5 on the list is that Canopy Growth finally ships its first infused beverage. So the first product to hit store shelves will be Tweed's Hound's Tooth and Soda, an infused drink with 2 milligrams of THC. Did I read that right? 2 milligrams of THC. So they finally are beginning to sort out its previous disclosed production issues with its THC infused cannabis beverage. The firm announced its first product line beginning shipping to provincial retailers mid-March. I mean, I know that they have a 10 milligram cap, but they're not even selling 10 milligrams. They're selling 2. Like, what? I don't get it.
Well, and they're not selling it to their stores because they just closed all their stores. So, yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, I don't get it. That's too expensive for me. I don't even really buy 100 milligram caps in Washington State because I'm, as a medical user, 100 milligrams isn't going to do a whole lot for me. 2 milligrams, I don't even care what the price is. I'm not buying that. But yeah, that's an odd product to sell. I don't know if it has, if it was a 20-1 CBD to THC, I would understand. But having just 2 milligrams of THC is a weird product. So I'll have to.
Yeah, a couple odd stories coming out of Canopy. That's true.
Definitely. Yeah. Red flags all over the place with them. Number 4 is Aleafia Health. They're receiving cultivation licenses from Health Canada. The Niagara facility, they can produce an all year round harvest via its advanced moving container bench system. I've heard so much about these like plug and play systems, but seriously, at this point in time, why would you want to cultivate when people are canceling their cultivation in Canada and Latin America? And these guys, I think this is just a play on investors. Like, hey, we got an extra license. Why don't you invest in us? And I don't think that's going to work out too well for them.
Yeah, and to your point earlier, it's a 5-letter stock ending in F.
Right. That could be non-DTC eligible. I'm not really sure. I haven't looked into them, but regardless, they're going to have to figure something out beyond just cultivation, because as a commodity, that's a race to the bottom of price. So they need to probably focus on automation and finished products. Number 3 is here's why a pot stock may stand out as coronavirus stokes demand. So demand for weed has noticeably increased as the coronavirus pandemic forces people indoors. Bank of America analyst says that Canadian licensed producer Afria is primed to gobble up more of the nation's pot market during cannabis demand. I think they have a higher cash position, but again, if you're not automating, if you're not able to manufacture, 40 to 60,000 pre-rolls a day for the international market and expand and scale and go international, a lot of these companies won't be around. At least they can file bankruptcy in Canada. I guess that's the bright spot.
What are they trading at right now? Can you bring that one up?
Afria is right now at $2.50. So they're up 0.03 cents, which is a 1% gain. So it looks like back in January they were only $5. So they're half of what they were, and I don't know, maybe they reached that bottom where it might be a decent buying opportunity.
At least they're not 95% what they were as some of these other ones are. But
right,
yeah, interesting.
Number 2 on the list is there's a demand for cannabis delivery surging in response to the coronavirus pandemic. So where that's an option, it's funny because Snoop Dogg's investment company, they went out and got $166 million and they weren't able to develop an app for delivery. And so they're redoing their business plan to become more of a brick and mortar. And yet, even at 166 million, they couldn't figure it out.
What was that? So, was that Ease?
That is Ease, yeah.
Okay.
So Ease is trying to, pivot to stay relevant. I doubt that that'll happen. They're pissing off everybody because their previous clients they're now competing against. So I'm not sure how that's not sort of stealing, intellectual property or just at least screwing people over. But nonetheless, the point of this story is that delivery is surging where it's legal. It's not where I'm at. Dan, do you have delivery in Colorado?
No, I don't think so.
I'm sure you guys, I don't think you guys do either. I think it's very limited. But yeah, if you want to stay indoors, I know that grocery stores are delivering a lot more.
That was a big thing. It was a big thing in California. I think that was really the epicenter of delivery. And I think a lot of states have built their models around the California model. But I think the opportunity is going to be great, but most of the dispensaries in California, I don't know if they needed a license to do it, but I know a lot of dispensaries in California provided their own delivery services. So I don't know a lot about that, and I've never had a delivery service as a guest on any of our shows.
California is its own beast. I think they really need drop shipping because from the Emerald Triangle in Redding, California, all the way down to San Diego is huge. That's basically like the whole Eastern Seaboard, and you got to have drop shipping in between so that the agricultural community in the north can meet, the Bay Area that is more medicinal versus LA, which is more recreational, and then a mix down in San Diego. It's got its own ecosystem, and everyone's doing everything. But you need that delivery, even out to the mountains close to Reno and Las Vegas. That's its own desert community, and it's a huge state. So you have to have delivery. And I would imagine that I've personally seen grocery delivery, demand spike. We don't have delivery here, but there are lines as pre-orders are mandatory, and you stand in a line with 6 feet separation drawn out with chalk on the sidewalk.
Yeah,
but yeah,
that's classic. Yeah. That's classic ingenuity at its best.
It is. It works. We're able to remain open and essential business because we're following the social distancing rules set by the state governor. So as long as they keep doing what they're doing, they'll stay open. I think that's the most important thing.
And it's simple. Just get a piece of chalk and draw lines. I mean, that's great. I love it.
Yeah. Whatever they can do to keep open and keep selling.
Yeah.
Well, that brings us to our number one story of the week. You have Champion Brands to leverage its undervalued market share with shroom stock buybacks. So at no fault of their own, many equities are now temporarily undervalued as a result of COVID-19. So Psychedelics firm Champion Brands announced that it intends to buy stock back up to 2.4 million shares worth, which is really weird because when you go public, you're going public to get money, and you're supposed to grab that money and throw it into research and development, right?
Yeah.
No one is going to invest in stock so that you can go and then buy your stock back cheaper than what they gave you their money for. So, looking at Boeing, who has got a really bad reputation right now for buying $60 billion worth of their stock at the height of the market. And now when stocks are so low at a time that makes sense to buy stock back when it's valuable, they can't because they don't have any money. So, I don't understand when companies do this. This is a massive red flag to me. I would say run. I wouldn't invest with your money into companies that do stupid shit like this. It's crazy to me. It doesn't make any sense. It triggers me. In the 90s, if any tech company were to buy stock back, they would run. Because tech, like Apple, if you invest in Apple, they are a tech company. They're supposed to take money and invest in new stuff, but nobody did that. Facebook, Amazon, Alphabet, Google are the same company. Netflix, none of those companies did the right thing as a fiduciary duty to their shareholders. They just were increasing the price to earnings. It's an accounting scheme for them to get bonuses, and it doesn't help anybody. But shareholders think that they're getting, more of a higher dividend. So, they don't know what they're doing. This to me is unfortunate. So I'm glad that they brought the point up, but it just tells me that A, it's 5 digits ending in F. Are they DTC eligible? And even if they are, why are you buying your stock back?
Well, and if on the plus side, it's another story about mushrooms. So if you want to, if we want to just, forget the brand for a second, there's a lot of energy about magic mushrooms right now. And, we've seen a couple of articles in this top 10 list. So if it's something if you have a little extra time sitting in front of your computer, start to do some research on this, because I think that could be a first mover in the magic mushroom scene right now.
Yeah, I guarantee you that the alcohol industry is sweating right now, and so is big pharma, because as cannabis is taken away, from pharmaceuticals and the alcohol industry, I have no doubt that many of the products that companies like this are going to produce will take away market share from big pharma and alcohol. Just a matter of time.
And this crisis is going to make it so that entrepreneurs and people that are willing to take some gambles are going to have an opportunity right now to get their foot in the door before, say, big pharma gets involved. So that's just another one of those great opportunities, potentially great opportunities.
Yeah, get in now while the price is low, because like you mentioned, as soon as legalization takes hold at the federal level for cannabis and psilocybin right now is going to have incredibly low valuations by comparison to that speculative bubble that will inevitably happen. Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, before we wrap this up, how can people get a hold of you, Dan? What's some email or social media links people can come and check you out?
Well, first off, go to our website. It's mjbulls.com. We have 7 cannabis podcasts, all targeting different genres within the cannabis industry. So that would be a good way to start. You can always, if you have questions for me personally, it's at dhumiston, HUMISTON @mjbulls.com. We have every week, we have 5 or 6 new podcasts a week of different from all of our different shows. So check us out at mjbulls.com.
And we'll put all those links in the show notes as well. With that, I want to thank my guest, Dan Humiston. He's a host at MJ Bulls. Thanks again, Dan.
Oh, you're welcome, Josh. Thanks for having me, and keep up the good work. We need good podcasts during this shut-in period.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Well, I'm Josh Kincaid. This is the Talking Hedge. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, or don't.